I would really encourage people, if you're searching for something new, to just take a deep breath and just do it and be brave and be a little honest and open, because people typically really want to help you.
You're listening to The People of Work, the podcast that dives into the real stories behind what people do for a living and how work shapes who we are. Hey friends, welcome back to The People of Work. I am really excited today to bring on my friend and guest, Abby Thompson. Abby is the founder of Bloom Marketing, and we are going to dig into Abby's journey today, from young Abby to school-age Abby, college Abby to founder of Bloom Marketing. You've got an amazing story, Abby. We're going to showcase it today. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. Okay, so let's dig in. I want to take it all the way back. So growing up, what shaped your first or earliest memories about work and or career?
Sure. I think, like probably most people, it was my parents, right? And I had two full-time working parents who worked really hard, but also did a great job of not letting us feel it, I would say. And we had a really balanced life. So my dad was a firefighter, which comes with a unique schedule, so he was on for 24 hours, off for 48 hours. He loved his profession, loved the camaraderie, and he was a captain in the fire department and just complete operational excellence, on his end. I don't think he took a sick day for like years at a time, so just loved what he did, was really committed. My mom came from really humble beginnings and dove into her education and then kind of rose up to run multiple associations, healthcare and nonprofit associations in her career. So I always really looked up to her. She's a complete rock star and just smart. So both of them just really kind of instilled that hard work ethic in me, but kept it light at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So a random question I have to ask, because I'm just curious myself. As a child of a firefighter, did you get to go to the fire station and ride down the pole? I just have to know.
Oh, great question. So most of them didn't have poles, actually. And the ones that did, we were not allowed to ride down. However, one of them had a slide.
Oh, okay.
So that's really fun. But we went there frequently. And I would say we did get the VIP treatment. So we got to go up in the bucket.
What's the bucket?
The ladder truck.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, the bucket on the end of the ladder for those
Got
really
it.
old
Yeah.
We would get to go inside the medic. When I was younger, there was a dog named Sparky, a Dalmatian, of course. And so we got to see Sparky. And generally the guys and gals that worked there were like the most fun. They were so good with kids and so fun with us. Like we had a blast visiting.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So were your dad and mom like talking to you about what you were going to do in terms of a career or work? Were they pushing college? Were they just pushing work? I mean, obviously you had great examples. What was the conversation around work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it was always sort of a given that I was going to go to college. It was just sort of an expectation. So I didn't ever question it, and I worked toward it. And I worked hard for good grades in school and tried hard. I didn't get all straight A's or anything, but did pretty well. And then I had jobs throughout high school. I worked at Dairy Queen, so I can make a mean blizzard.
And did you leave the too much vanilla ice cream on the bottom without it being mixed? Why do they do that now?
No, I don't know, but you blend it all the way down.
All the way to the bottom.
All the way down. So that was a great start. I worked at the Gap. I worked, all sorts of places.
You and I have worked at a couple of places. I also worked at the Gap as a young person, and we also worked at Rolls Royce together in very different, areas, but interesting. So talk to me about your first dream job. When you, at whatever age, you kind of started thinking about, I want to be X when I grow up. What was that for you?
I really wanted to be a marine biologist. I feel like maybe a lot of people did. I thought it'd be really fun to swim with dolphins and play with turtles. And I was sure that that's what you did as a marine biologist. But then I think as I got into high school and further along in high school, junior, senior year, I kind of thought about a business degree, kind of heading more like where she went. And I always loved the creative side of things. So I didn't start majoring in marketing, but combining that business with the creative side really kind of sparked my interest. And so eventually I just kind of zigzagged there, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I majored in actually international business at university. So I took more marketing classes because I wanted to concentrate in it along with languages.
That's great. What made you choose the school that you chose? You went to IU, right?
I went to Butler.
Oh, Butler. Butler
Yep.
was your undergrad.
Yes, I did go to IU for my master's.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I grew up in Ohio, in Columbus,
Okay.
which, as you know, has a gigantic university, Ohio State. I went to a smaller school. So the size honestly kind of worried me. I felt like I'd get lost. So I wasn't interested in staying there. So I kind of looked all around, mostly the Midwest, a little East Coast. And when I went to Butler to visit, it just was so welcoming.
It's a beautiful area. Beautiful
A
campus.
beautiful campus. Everybody was so kind, that Midwest kindness.
Mhm.
I just felt really at home and welcomed. It wasn't too far from home. It was its own little pocket, but within a city, which I felt like kind of gave it a little more opportunity for internships and other resources that were around. So those were the things that kind of drew me there.
That's great.
Yeah.
So when you were at Butler, were you obviously full-time student living on campus? Did you have a job during college, or were you 100% focused on just getting through all the classes?
Yeah, I did have a job, and it was the best job on campus, in my opinion. I worked at the info desk. So the info desk was in the union, and the amount of time that I actually had to work during my shift was about like 1/10 of the shift.
So you just did your homework the whole
So I
time,
did my
talked with
homework.
friends.
Yes, it was really efficient time for me.
I love this. The lesson is college kids work at the info desk.
Please. Yes, it's the best.
So talk to me about your first job out of college. What were you targeting, looking for, and where'd you land?
Butler's Business School is really unique in that they require 2 internships for credit while you're there. And there's a class that goes along with it.
Do you have to be a junior or senior? Or is that like at any time during your...
Yeah, it's junior or senior year.
Okay, got it.
You can do additional internships earlier.
Okay.
But these internships sort of have to be a certain level of rigor in order, and then you have to pair the class along with it. My second internship, which I worked really hard for because I wanted it, was at Rolls Royce, which
Yay!
you and I,
Yes, I know.
worked at the same place, which is crazy. So I got that internship my senior year. I worked in the defense business there, and I really enjoyed it. So I was doing marketing, I was doing some communications, I was learning a ton about this international corporation, and I was lucky enough to get a full-time job out of it. So I stayed.
Yeah, you were there 8 years, I think.
Yeah, almost a decade.
Lots of good promotion opportunities, and even a little like dip outside of marketing for a little bit too, I think, right?
Yeah.
I'm interested in hearing about that little pivot.
Okay, let's see. So I was in marketing for a couple roles, and then I had the opportunity to take a role called business executive. And what that was is essentially someone who runs the defense leadership team. So helps run everything they do, all of their activities, all of their reporting, the communication and coordination between all of those leadership team members.
Almost sounds like a chief of staff type role.
Almost like chief of staff type role. So I brought in more of the communication side with that, and actually worked for the VP of communications, was kind of my official director at that time. And she was a complete rock star. Like, to this day, she is my very, very favorite boss I've ever had.
That's great. So 8 years at Rolls Royce, great
Mhm.
company. Were you traveling internationally at all?
Yeah, I went to the UK quite a bit. Yep. So got to have the opportunity to go to Bristol quite a few times, Derby, London. I did a training program for, I think it was 2.5 weeks straight there. So kind of immersed in the culture. And I loved my coworkers. The British culture and the people are lighthearted and warm. And it was just a great environment.
It's funny. I was actually spent some time in Derby too.
Oh,
I don't
nice.
know if you remember, and maybe they did this a lot. I wasn't there as long as you were, but at Rolls Royce for me, I was working in the strategic recruitment center and talent acquisition. I was participated on a volunteer team where we did these volunteer projects around the city. And it wasn't just us in Indianapolis. It was like several locations across the US. And whoever won the volunteer project, that particular team went to Derby to kind of have this amazing celebration of all of the volunteerism and the work. Well, my team, we worked on a project at the Harrison Center for the Arts, downtown Indianapolis off Delaware.
Oh, nice.
And completely remodeled the place. It was amazing. It was such a great thing, obviously for students there. And our project ended up winning. So we got to go to Darby, and I got to take, they were like, you get to take 2 people. I'm like, what is this? So me,
Wow.
my husband, and my brother all got to go. It was an amazing trip. And of course, that facility is amazing because there's those turbine engines right there that of course, you're taking pictures in front of, gigantic, and just so it helps connect the work that you do to the purpose of Rolls Royce overall. So it was just an awesome trip. I am curious, Abby. So from a marketing perspective, I'm just thinking about our listeners, for anybody who might say, oh, I think I might be interested in marketing, but I don't know that you generally think about marketing as a role that also could have international travel. So can you explain, like, why were you traveling internationally? What were you accomplishing when you were traveling internationally for Rolls Royce?
Sure. So some of it during that business executive role was more kind of that team coordination and meetings and all of that. But when I went before and then after that role, I went to a global marketing role. And that was a lot of team coordination. So our marketing and comms team was kind of split on half in Indy and half in Bristol. And so some of it was just that team coordination and camaraderie and team building. And then some of it would be trade shows. I helped kind of plan and execute a lot of trade shows, some of them internationally. And so some of it was coordination for that as well.
Okay. So after Rolls Royce, by the way, 8 years, almost 10, like you left the company. Tell me what you did next. And what was the precipice for leaving Rolls Royce?
Sure. In 2013, I had my daughter. It was my first child. And traveling internationally for me at that point felt like full of anxiety. So I was still at Rolls Royce. They were fantastic, but I was recruited by Butler School of Business for a role, and it's my alma mater. It was people I already knew. It was a purpose that I loved. At the time, it just felt right. So I went for it. So it worked out incredibly well.
And you were there how many years?
I was there about 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I supported the School of Business the whole time. It was an amazing time to be there because Butler rebranded. So from a marketing standpoint, Butler rebranded at the university level. And then while I was there, we had a donor, a naming of the School of Business, which is a huge deal. It was the College of Business before. And then Mr. Lacey donated and made it the Lacey School of Business. And that process was one I had not been a part of before. So the whole process in itself was really interesting. And then we rebranded the entire School of Business, huge events around that. And then the school just exploded with all sorts of new programs and opportunities for the students.
Was your role, Abby, more focused on marketing Butler to the public, or was it more creating marketing and business courses for the students, or a mixture of both?
It was marketing to the public. I was not a faculty member or an instructor, but I supported the School of Business. So undergrad recruitment was done at the university level, and I supported in some ways, but I didn't run that. I did support marketing for the grad programs for the Lacey School of Business. And then the school also has executive education programs. At the time, they had an actual consulting company within the school.
I'm very familiar with that. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, it was really interesting to market them. We had a small business development center that was there. So all sorts of programs that I was able to help support along with kind of the general undergrad. And one of my favorite things that I got to participate in was to help start a student-run marketing agency while I was there, which was so fun because I got to interact directly with the students, and they did actual work for actual businesses, and it was an internship for them. So it was really fun to be a part of.
What was the name? Did you guys name the marketing agency? Of course you did, your marketers.
Yeah, Bright Blue.
Bright Blue. I love that. That's cool. Yeah. Okay, tell me what's next. After Butler, why the change? What happened and where'd you go?
Yeah, well, COVID hit in 2020, as we all know, and a really good number of marketing staff were cut from the university. And I was one of those layoffs, unfortunately. And man, I was really sad. And so I was lucky enough to find a role in a few months at Automatic Pool Covers, which is up in Westfield. And they have 3 businesses. So the manufacturer, they have Cover Care, which is a national installation and service provider. And then while I was there, we started an e-commerce business as well. So it was really fun to kind of pivot from, kind of the big corporate to higher education to kind of manufacturing and service and e-com. And so I learned a ton, just kind of marketing for those businesses.
I'm really curious because I think that I don't want to pass over
Yeah.
what happened with Butler because I think that happened so much. And in fact, right now, I mean, this is kind of the market we're in, right? I mean, hearing even in
Right.
2025, the layoffs we continue to hear about and read about in the news. So it's impactful, right? When that
Oh
happens
my
to you.
gosh.
What was that self talk like in that moment or in those moments? And how did you process and overcome kind of any of those negative feelings that I think can kind of come along with that naturally to kind of move on to the next thing?
There are a lot of feelings that come along with that. I think at the time, because it was during COVID and there were so many layoffs, I didn't feel as guilty, but I definitely was sort of grieving the loss because I really loved working there. I loved the environment and I just didn't see it coming, right? Nobody did. And at the same time, like the job market in general was just not great. And I was kind of, oh gosh, how am I going to find a job? So my husband was incredibly supportive. And luckily, he still had his job, was working in the basement. We're all hooking up our
All right.
remote work environments that we hadn't
You're in the
had.
dining room, you're over here. That's what we all
Yes.
had to do, right? Yeah.
Yes. All the kids' toys came up from the basement. They're everywhere. So he was really supportive. My parents were really supportive. I remember my mom telling me one time, sometimes bad news is good news. And so you can look at it, might turn into something like the next big thing, the next big opportunity that you'll enjoy.
That's
And
right.
she said that a few times, and I finally kind of started believing her. I did have a ton of support, I will say. Like I posted on LinkedIn, and all of these people were connecting me or reaching out to just say they were thinking of me. It was just this incredible response that I just didn't anticipate at all. It felt like, okay, it might be okay. I might find something. And so through a connection, I found my next role. It worked out. It typically always will, but when you're in it, it does not, it feels awful.
It does. And there's
Yeah.
big feelings, and those are absolutely real feelings. I mean,
Yes.
it hurts your ego. It is
Really.
impactful. And then you have to be so careful not to like accept those feelings as truth and then take them into your next interview or job because it could really impact you, right?
Yes, of course.
One of the things you just mentioned, and I just want to hone in on this, is you said you found your next role through a connection. And I had a girlfriend reach out to me just earlier this week, and she's talking about looking for a new job. She kind of wants to pivot out of the space that she's in to do something completely different. She's applying to jobs. She's applying to a lot, and she's very talented, has a really strong resume. She's had lots of promotion, a lot of opportunities, lots of taps on the shoulders, come work here. But right now, she's applying to roles and like
It's a
hearing
black
nothing
hole.
or an immediate no.
Oh, yeah.
So she's frustrated. And I've told her, like I'm telling a lot of people, is it really is about connections. I mean, yes, you can find jobs by applying. Of course, that's why companies still post roles. That's how we attract talent. But I really do very strongly believe that often our next role can come, should come, will come through an interaction or a connection through your network. So talk
Yeah.
to me about the importance of that network and how that helped you land that next role.
100%. I think one of the hardest things is to be vulnerable during a time when you kind of feel awful about yourself. Even if you just want to pivot, being able to be transparent is sometimes really hard. But it's that honesty that people really respond to. And so whether it's people, friends that you're maybe texting or calling or reaching out to just say, hey, I'm just putting feelers out there, and I'm kind of interested or thinking about this or that. Would you keep your ears open?
Right.
Kind of thing. Or I think LinkedIn is a really strong community. I mean, I have seen it in so many different ways for myself, for my friends, for my family. I've just noticed when people are kind of honest or vulnerable out there, people respond and they'll connect you and think of ideas or tag you and this and that. So I would really encourage people, if you're searching for something new, to just take a deep breath and just do it and be brave and be a little honest and open because people typically really want to help you.
I find the same thing. And I think that it can be discouraging whether you've been laid off or whether you applied for a job and you were certain you were going to get it and then you didn't. And that is a confidence shaker as well. It's like, wait a minute, I thought for sure I was a perfect match. How could this happen? I think, you touched on it earlier with advice from your mom is what's meant for us won't pass us by,
I
right? And I
agree.
think that we have to remember that in those tough times when our inner dialogue is saying, what's your problem?
Yes. What's
you
going
know?
on? Why can't you get something?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
hard.
So let's talk about Bloom Marketing. I want to jump to Bloom. You are the founder of Bloom Marketing. I love this. I'm so excited to talk about Bloom Marketing. Tell me how this all came to be.
You're sweet. I mentioned when I was at Butler, they had a consulting group in the business school that I was able to interact with a bunch, kind of understood their business model. I helped market them some. And it kind of sparked this interest in consulting. And at that time, it wasn't the right time for me. But later on in my career, I just kept thinking about it. What I liked about the idea was the ability to work with different clients and mix it up a little bit. The fact that that teaches you new things so quickly. And I also, at some point, I needed that flexibility just to be transparent. I have two young kids and they've got a lot going on. So ending at 5 p.m. every day just wasn't working for me anymore. It was just sort of the right move for me and for our family and allow a little more flexibility. After some long, conversations with my husband, we just kind of decided let's try it. Let's just give it a go. And so I did.
Yep. I love that. It's one of the things that when I have a client that I'm coaching, like doing some like life or career coaching with, is we talk about what we call like a values exercise in coaching, right? Which is kind of determining what's really important to you. It sounds like maybe without calling it that, that's exactly what you and your husband were doing, which is
Yes.
what's really important to us and our family and me personally as Abby right now. And
Yeah.
it's not so much climbing that corporate ladder to the top CMO position. It's I want to enjoy flexibility and autonomy, but also still provide value and use my skills,
Yes.
which is exactly what you were able to do by founding Bloom Marketing.
Yes. And I think I would say to anyone, who's struggling, because when I look back, I was really going gangbusters, right? When you work a full-time job and you've got kids and every evening is just activities and laundry and dinner and bath and bedtime and like there's just no stop at all, and you're kind of like, how is it like this? How am I not managing this better? Why don't I feel like I can do this well?
Or we all are managing it well, but we're just so critical of ourselves
Yeah.
in this kind of comparative culture. I mean,
Right.
you probably were doing it wonderfully, but then you look up and it's 10 o'clock at night and you've barely ate yourself or showered and you're like, what the hell? Is this my
Yes.
life?
Yes. And so to just do that and do that and do that is just, it's kind of wearing,
Yeah. So tell me about an exciting project that you did recently for a client or you're working on now with Bloom Marketing.
I have a fractional CMO client who was actually my launch client, and I'm still with them and I love them. I don't want to say it's one big exciting project, but what I've noticed over time is we went from them kind of not having an official marketing resource to having one, having a strategy, being able to execute that strategy. And along the lines, I write blogs for them, among other things now. And one day I looked up and we have like 10 blogs, on this site now, which in itself to some people might not seem like a big deal, right? But to go from an organization that doesn't have any of that and their website's now getting updated, they're running their social, they've got ads running. And so it kind of makes you look back over the things that they've accomplished and that they've prioritized.
With your leadership and support.
Well, yes, but also, they took the leap. So it kind of triggered me to think about all the things we've done over the past couple years. And it's really exciting to see where they've come and the foundation they have now, this like really solid foundation. They've got processes and of course they're running marketing campaigns and tactics. And it just feels really good to be in that place now when you started with a lot less than that.
Absolutely. And the fact that you get to see your thumbprint on that. That's why we do in services. That's why we do what we do, right? I mean, of
Yes.
course, you want to see your clients improve and grow and get better. But the fact that you were a small piece of that, it provides purpose for you, which is
Yes.
wonderful.
Love it.
Are you working in their office sometimes, or is all of your work 100% remote, kind of from wherever you want to work?
I'm almost 100% remote. However, I will travel to clients. So I do go there several times a year and kind of, hold meetings and hang out for the day and stuff. But mostly it's video calls and remote work. And that's typically how I'm with most of my clients. We'll meet in person if possible, especially at the onset of a project. And maybe throughout, I do love good in-person meetings. And especially if we can meet at a coffee shop, seems to work for everyone. We all love coffee, right?
We do. In fact, you and I were just talking. Let's show them our matching coffee. And for anybody that's going to watch this on YouTube and not just listen, we have matching floral coffee cups. We were destined to be on this show together and be friends. Okay. Here. All right, Abby, a piece of advice you would give to somebody who's saying, I think I want to explore business and marketing or go down that path. What advice would you give?
My one piece of advice would be, and similar to what we talked about earlier, is to just put yourself out there. And I've had to tell myself a lot during, especially, launching a new business. It's just to kind of be brave and just put yourself out there. And then after you do it a few times, you get used to it, and then people respond to it. And if you're just kind of genuinely yourself and you're not trying to be salesy, you just kind of want to put feelers out there, right? But no one will know you're out there or that you want to pivot in your career or whatever it is unless you tell them. And so it takes being brave and just kind of letting your guard down a little bit. Just do it. I remember when I was going to launch Bloom, and I finally had a launch client. And so I kind of thought, okay, maybe this is real. I don't know, and as a marketer, of course, I needed my logo and all of that. But once I had that together, I put together a post for LinkedIn, and it took me 2 full days to press send on that post. And I do this for clients all the time. Why can't I do it for myself? Why do I feel weird?
Yes.
I don't know, but I did it. And then I did it a few more times. And now I'm kind of like, okay, it's okay.
I love that advice, Abby, because I really, truly believe, especially women, but I think all people at some point in time have this type of imposter syndrome or like this self-doubt that kind of creeps in that they have to kind of override and really kind of, intentionally say something else positive to themselves. When I launched this podcast, was like, what the hell am I doing? I have never launched a podcast. I don't know what I'm doing. And let me tell you, the first time I heard my voice, it was awful. I'm like, I will never do that again. That's the worst thing ever. But I just kept going because I just kept saying to myself intentionally, on top of the imposter negative things, I was saying, why not me?
Yeah.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Why not me? I mean, you see all these other people doing these brave things.
Yeah.
Why not me? And I think that little sentence has kind of helped propel me even through those moments of doubt. So
yes. And you shouldn't, because you know what? I saw you post about your podcast and I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you thought that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, Abby, some quick hits, just some fun questions. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Yeah, all day. Duh, we're drinking coffee now. Are you a reader? Do you like to read?
Yes.
Tell me a favorite book or a book that you're reading right now.
I just recently finished Fourth Wing. I've
not heard of this one. Tell me a little bit.
It is sort of Game of Thrones meets Hunger Games with a little rom-com in there.
I'm writing it down.
Read it. So it's in a series. I think there's 3 of them, and I flew through it. Loved it. So if you like that sort of genre or combination, it's amazing. The writing just hooks you from the beginning.
It sounds like a really great escape series.
Oh, it's awesome.
Right?
Yeah. So I need to get the gumption up for number 2, because I think it's got like 600 pages in it. So I haven't taken the leap yet.
That's great. Okay, Abby, last question. Anything exciting happening? Anything, any big vacation plans while we wrap up this summer? Anything going on?
I don't have big vacation plans. We went over the summer, so we don't have anything new coming up. But I'm looking forward to some consistency in the fall with, kids back in school. I got a little time to organize myself again. I'm working on a website, which I've put off for a long time.
For Bloom Marketing?
Yeah. And so that's kind of my big me project for the fall.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why I just had this vision, but Abby, you're, a marketing company, you're a marketer. You're so busy building websites for all your clients that you haven't built one for yourself. I feel like this is the mechanic who has all the cars in the yard of their own that they don't fix because they're too busy repairing everybody else's cars. Put your mask on first, Abby, okay?
100%. I have launched a few websites for clients now, and I told myself that actually, you know what, to be fair, at the beginning, I didn't really think I needed a website. I mean, I have a LinkedIn business page. And then I think after the first year, I thought, okay, well, maybe. So I got a photo shoot done, which was super uncomfortable. My photographer made it so easy. I felt so much better than I thought I would. So we're going to do it.
I love it. What's the website?
Oh, it's going to be bloommar.com.
Bloommar.com. Okay.
When it's there.
When it's there, we will show it. We will share it with all of our listeners and beyond. Okay. So
thank you.
Yes. Abby, thank you for coming today. Thanks for joining me. Always so good to see your face. And
dude, this was so fun.
I appreciate you sharing your story. Our listeners will really resonate with your journey, especially that piece around we all get knocked down. It's really kind of how you get back up and show up and connect with your network. So thank you for all those really great golden nuggets of advice.
Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun.
Good. Take care, Abby. Thanks for tuning in to The People of Work. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow along and share it with someone who'd love these stories too. Do you or someone you know have a unique job or an inspiring work journey? I'd love to hear about it. You can find me on Instagram at The People of Work or visit thepeopleofwork.com. And if you're navigating a career transition or just need support in your work life, I'm here for that too. From personal coaching to leadership and HR consulting, I'd love to help. Head to thepeopleofwork.com to learn more and get in touch. Until next time, thanks for being a part of The People of Work.